Have all the major religious scholars misinterpreted the meaning of being born again in the Bible? This short video reveals why the answer to this question, that almost no one is asking, is the key to tapping into God's abundance. Because the truth about being born again actually refers to the prosperity you'll receive once you establish your direct connection with God. Once you do, you'll understand why living with the abundance God has in store for you is an entirely different life than the one you're living right now. So it will definitely feel like you're born again. But make no mistake, you don't need to darken the doors of a church to make this happen. Instead, you can establish your direct connection to God's abundance from your living room sofa. Truth is, God wanted to make it easy for his children to live a prosperous life. But it wasn't until a recent discovery involving a code in the Bible that's been hidden in plain sight for over 2,000 years that us, common folk, have had a chance to access the abundance and prosperity awaiting us, which means you can establish your direct connection to God's abundance starting as soon as today. So make sure you watch this short video all the way to the end today, because as one of God's children, you are entitled to a prosperous life, just as God intended. And look, I get it. This is probably coming out of the blue right now, and you may be a tad skeptical of what you're hearing. And I applaud that, which is why I'm going to use the next few minutes to show you the truth, so you can see for yourself what God has in store for you. Allow me to introduce myself briefly before we dive in. Hi, my name is Hunter Henderson. I'm 42 years old, and until just this past year, my life was wholly unremarkable. But what I'm sharing in the next few minutes changed the very trajectory of my life, and will do the same for you if you pay attention closely for just another few minutes. You see, I come from a deeply religious family growing up in the hills of rural Kentucky. To say I grew up poor would be putting it lightly. My mother died giving birth to me, and my father perished in a car accident a few weeks later. So I was raised by my grandmother in her old house with dirt floors. And while she was an evangelical Christian, Grandma was far from normal, and she made what little money we had from her renowned sound healing services. People would come from all over the county to have her heal all sorts of ailments from arthritis to depression. Of course, not everybody was thrilled about her claims to heal through the power of sound. Some thought it went against the Bible's teachings, but my grandmother insisted she was doing God's work, and that the Bible backed this. Anyway, she continued her work until she passed away last year at the ripe old age of 91, which turned out to be a bigger turning point in my life than I anticipated, because her passing triggered everything I'm sharing in this stunning video today, because that's when I inherited my grandmother's seemingly mundane locket. But what I quickly discovered is that the locket contains hidden compartments, each holding a small, intricately carved stone marked with the number 888. But the most shocking part is that my grandmother left me her diaries and asked me to read through them. I know that sounds weird right now, but it'll make perfect sense in just a minute. Thing is, her diaries talked solely about her sound healing experiments, including references to the Bible, citing a number of verses. As it turns out, she discovered a hidden code in the Bible. Well, hidden code may not be the best description since it was hidden in plain sight, but none of the preachers were talking about this. However, if you could crack this code, you could have a direct connection to download abundance and prosperity directly from God. And the interesting part is that the code heavily revolved around the number 8. According to her diary, my grandmother thought she could establish this connection to God's abundance through the power of a new kind of sound wave, something she called an 8D sound wave. And her notes made it clear she believed this 8D sound wave was the key to living a life of prosperity. So here's what her notes basically say. God wants us to experience prosperity and abundance. Philippians chapter 4 verse 19 says, "And my God will meet all your needs according to the riches of his glory in Christ Jesus." Genesis chapter 13 verse 2 says, "Abram was very rich in livestock, in silver and in gold." Job chapter 36 verse 11 says, "If they obey and serve him, they shall spend their days in prosperity, and their years in pleasures." And those verses are just a few of the many examples from the Bible. But there's a lot of confusion over this in the religious world, even among theologians and scholars, and frankly, it's no accident. You see, a few centuries back, Religious leaders were having a hard time controlling the masses. Abundance and wealth was everywhere, but so was sin. So the religious leaders of the day decided to switch things up a bit. And that's when they started pushing the anti-prosperity agenda that continues to this day. Ever notice how a lot of these preachers and pastors drive Mercedes and BMWs while living in luxurious mansions? All while preaching that being wealthy is a bad thing? If you're like me, you've always been a little suspicious of the do as I say, not as I do attitude. Truth is, God wants us to experience abundance, just as the Bible tells us. In fact, God has equipped us with the ability to tap directly into His endless supply of prosperity. And He gives us hints in the Bible if you're looking closely enough. Because if you do, you'll notice something peculiar about the number 8. The number 8 is symbolically used in the Bible to indicate a new beginning or a new order of things. This is seen in the fact that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th, making the 8th day a symbol for the start of a new week or a new creation. And get this, after God flooded the earth, Noah emerged from the ark to start a new beginning for humanity with 8 people. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives being saved. And how about circumcision, which was the sign of the covenant between God and Abraham, was performed on the 8th day after a male child's birth. And have you ever noticed how the New Testament was penned by 8 men? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, James, Peter, Jude, and Paul. But it's Jesus' resurrection that is perhaps one of the most powerful symbols of new beginnings, as Jesus arose on the first day of the week, which is considered the 8th day. So you tell me if there's some sort of significance with the number 8. And yet, I don't see any preachers or any religious figures talking about this at all. Again, this is not by accident, but the secrets go even deeper. It involves something you've probably heard of, but seldom hear Christians mention. I'm talking about chakras. You probably know about chakras. They are the 7 energy centers in our body. Most people have at least seen a chakra chart like this. And while many Christians brush off chakras as pseudoscience, they are entirely real. But again, the truth about chakras goes deeper than the general public talks about. After all, when does the mainstream media get anything right? So after all this talk about the symbolism of the number 8, do you really think there are only 7 chakras? Because as you might have guessed by now, there are actually 8 chakras, with the 8th chakra being the most powerful. Reason is, this chakra is your direct connection to the divine, God. It's called the Soul Star Chakra. Some people call it our Angel Chakra. The Soul Star Chakra plays a crucial role in the purification of negative energies. Okay, so what does that mean in plain English? Well, it all goes back to the number 8. Remember, the number 8 represents a new beginning, meaning a new order or creation. And the new beginning most priests and preachers talk about is being born again. But what everyone misinterprets is the born again part, because being born again actually refers to tapping into God's abundance. And to do this, you must clear out your Soul Star Chakra. But this is different from clearing out any of your other chakras. While the traditional 7 chakra system consists of 7 main energy centers aligned along the spine, the Soul Star Chakra is located outside of the physical body in the ethereal realm, in your energy field. So it sits right above your head and works in conjunction with your crown chakra. Okay, right now you're probably thinking, great, but how do I clear my Soul Star Chakra? And while I don't want to sound like a broken record, it all revolves around the number 8. Which shouldn't be too surprising. After all, the ancient science of frequency and mathematics rules the universe. You see, each number has its own frequency, and math is the language of the universe. So I was able to take this information and create what I call chakra flossing, which sounds weird, but the concept is fairly simple. You've probably heard of clearing your blocked chakras before. Well, that's what we are trying to do with your Soul Star Chakra. But remember, this chakra is located outside of your body, directly above your skull. So it requires an entirely different process to clear this most powerful chakra. Hence, the chakra flossing. Okay, so how does chakra flossing work anyway? Well, as I mentioned, it revolves around the number 8. You see, spiritual leaders have known for centuries that high vibrations can clear out our clogged chakras. Not exactly groundbreaking news, right? But none of the traditional methods were effective on our soul star chakra since it's located outside of our physical body. That's why my grandmother figured that 8D audio could get to all the crevices in your soul star chakra. You see, traditional audio waves don't bounce around and get to all the places they need to. But 8D sound waves come from all different directions, which makes them the only kind of sound waves in existence that can clear your soul star chakra. And while it sounded simple, there was still a lot to figure out. How was I supposed to create these 8D sound waves? Especially since my grandma's diary made it clear that they had to be a very specific 8D frequency. And I don't know if it was God, the universe, or some other higher power, but the solution seemed to come by accident at just the right time, because my cousin Zoe was visiting town while on a break from MIT. And get this, she was studying audio engineering there at the greatest technology school in the world. And as it turns out, she was doing her dissertation on the power of 8D audio. As unbelievable as it seemed, I took it as a sign from God to pursue the secret my grandmother left behind. So when I asked Zoe if she could create these very specific audio tracks in 8D, she said she could have them done in a matter of days. Next thing I knew, I had a digital audio track on my iPhone in 8D. Isn't it amazing what we can do with these things? So I started listening to the track in my car each day on the way to work. But a week later, nothing had changed. And things really looked bleak when I was laid off that final Friday. And frankly, I was ready to give up on the whole thing at that point. But when I mentioned that I'd been listening to the audio track on my car speakers, Zoe told me that from her research, she'd noticed that 8D audio seems to only work when listening to it with headphones. Reason is, the powerful sound waves lose their effectiveness when they travel over larger spaces. So putting headphones or earbuds right in your ear makes all the difference in the world. And that was the final turning point in this history-shaping story. Because that little bit of information was the last piece of the puzzle I needed. The day I started using my earbuds to listen to the 8D audio, my life changed forever. First, I got a call from an attorney. But instead of more bad news, he told me about an investment my grandma made. Turns out she'd bought a bunch of an altcoin in the crypto world. And after she died, the value of this altcoin went up 844%, which means that I could now withdraw her investment for a whopping $788,530 in cash. I mean, it would have taken me a decade to make that at my job. And it kept getting better from there, because the next week, a surveyor found oil under my grandma's old house and offered me $3 million for the property so he could drill the oil well. Suddenly, I had more money than I even knew what to do with, but it seemed very clear at this point that this secret was mine to share. After all, this is a gift from God himself, and my grandmother would roll over in her grave if she knew I kept this to myself. So I'm thrilled to introduce you to the 8th Chakra Code. It's the only 8D audio track that flosses your soul star chakra, clearing the blockages to tap directly in the abundance God has in store for you. And the best part is that it does so effortlessly. There's simply nothing else like it in the universe. So while the masses are out chasing money, talking about hustling and grinding 12 to 16 hours a day, you can just pop in a set of headphones for at least 8 minutes a day and let God's abundance come to you. All by harnessing the power of the 8D audio and your God-given prosperity attraction ability. Now, just take a minute to think about all the ways people try to become wealthy. Playing the lottery, investing in secret stocks without even understanding how they work, going back to college and spending $80,000 to get a degree just so you can stay on the financial hamster wheel you're on right now, working 2 to 3 jobs just to end up burnt out while still struggling to get by, falling for some get-rich-quick schemes and ending up in a worse situation than when they started. And I don't want you to have to live that way anymore. Because now I realize that you don't have to, which is why I'm so excited to share the 8th Chakra Code with you right now. Because I want you to live life the way God intended before the religious leaders screwed everything up. It's time to say goodbye to working your life away for some ungrateful boss just because you've got bills to pay. And I know how it's practically impossible to get ahead, no matter how hard you work anyway. Something always comes up that keeps you broke, so that you are just barely keeping your head above water at any given moment. It's not your fault though, the modern system was designed this way. But now that you know about the power that's already inside of you, you can join the thousands of other people who use the 8th Chakra Code to change the trajectory of their lives. I never realized the impact chakras could have on my prosperity. Despite my best efforts, I always felt stuck, and my financial situation never improved. I used to work as a bartender in a bowling alley. Now I own a penthouse with an ocean view in Miami. God is so good. Marcus P. from Wilmington, Delaware. Being a single mom and a kindergarten teacher, I always trusted in the value of hard work. But that doesn't pay the bills, unfortunately. Thanks to the wealth 8th Chakra Code provided me, I finally left teaching to start a private school for underprivileged children. God knows what he's doing. I'm just glad I finally started trusting him. Julie S. from New Orleans, Louisiana. I had no idea I even possessed an 8th chakra. But after trying and failing with every law of attraction program on the planet, it all makes sense now. It's a crime that this has been kept hidden for so long. Everybody should learn how to use their 8th chakra. I can tell you it's the one thing that finally changed the trajectory of my life. Rachel P. from Austin, Texas. Okay, so right now, you're probably thinking, sounds great, but how exactly do I use the 8th Chakra Code? And I love answering this question because it's so darn easy. All you do is get up in the morning, sit down with a pair of headphones in your ears, and press play on your smartphone or computer. Listen to the 8D audio for at least 8 to 10 minutes, and then go about your day. It's really that simple. From there, you simply let your soul star chakra do its thing. Soon, you'll start to see money, wealth, and abundance flow into your life, just like it did for me and the thousands of people who've tested the 8th Chakra Code since then. But I have to warn you about one thing right now, because I don't know how much longer this webpage is going to be up. I'm telling you this because this is the only place you can get the 8th Chakra Code. Here's the issue. Turns out, there are a handful of ultra-rich preachers and pastors who knew about the Soul Star secret. You'd know their names if I mentioned them here. This was supposed to be a secret that they kept to themselves. And they are afraid if everyone knows the truth about attracting God's abundance, that they won't be able to keep a stranglehold on their wealth. I know this because they've tried shutting down this website numerous times already, and unfortunately they've been successful a few times already. But it's getting harder and harder to fend off. And next time, I don't know if I'll be able to get it back up again. So if you even think you want the 8th Chakra Code, and who wouldn't, I urge you not to close out of this page until you've secured your copy of the 8th Chakra Code. And let me get something out of the way right now. This is not about me. I already have all the money I'll ever need. I could easily disappear to a castle somewhere and live out the rest of my days in peace. But I feel like I owe it to God and my grandmother to expose the truth. There's no reason why people need to suffer now that it has been exposed. Which is why I'm not going to ask you for over a ton of money just to get your copy of the 8th Chakra Code. Because we both know what I could charge for this life-changing discovery. And in fact, numerous business consultants have told me that I should charge upwards of $25,000 for this. But I'm not in this for the money. My mission is to get this out to as many people as possible before this website is shut down forever. And attaching a hefty price tag like that would eliminate most of the people I want to help. So I won't ask you to invest anywhere near $25,000 today. Heck, I wouldn't even ask you to pay half that. In fact, I'm not even interested in making a profit on this. All I ask is that you cover the expenses it takes to create these tracks and run this website. Which means I'm only asking you to pitch in $39 today. Look, I realize that probably seems a little hard to believe, that you could really get this life-changing track for less than what you'd spend on coffee in a week. But remember what my goal is here, to get this out to as many people as I can. So yes, this is 100% real. All you have to do is click the button that just appeared below this video. Once you've hit the Order Now button, you'll be taken to our 100% safe and secure checkout page, where you'll enter your order information and credit card number. And as soon as you hit Submit, your digital audio track will be emailed to you in about 8 minutes. Which means you save another $11.99 since there's no shipping, and you don't have to wait for a physical package to be mailed to your home. But that's not all you'll get when you place your order today. Because I've decided to throw in a few free gifts when you place your order for 8th Chakra Code today. Just consider these bonuses for taking action today. Free gift number 1, the healing frequency. So here's one of my grandma's old school sound frequencies. I mentioned earlier that folks would come from all around the county to have their physical health boosted. Now I'm giving you the same exact sound frequency as a free gift today. Free gift number 2, the agape frequency. This is the other popular frequency my grandma used years back. The story goes that once you use this frequency, your one true love would come into your life. All I can say is that many weddings and births resulted from this old school frequency in our little county in Kentucky, but I'm including this as a free gift with your order today. Okay, so those 2 bonuses, a total of $154 value, are yours free when you get the 8th Chakra Code today. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention. When you place your order from this website, you're backed by our 365-day, 100% money-back guarantee. Here's how it works. Simply click the button that's below this video you're watching right now and place your order for the 8th Chakra Code. Once you download the audio tracks to your cell phone or computer, I want you to listen to the tracks every morning for at least 8 minutes straight. And I want you to do this for the next 8 days in a row. If you do this, there is no doubt in my mind that you will start seeing money appear in your life. So if you want to join the ranks of people building real wealth, I urge you to download your copy of 8th Chakra Code today. And I know that your life will be infinitely better because you took action today. But if for any reason that turns out not to be the case, and you're not completely satisfied with your life after clearing out your soul star chakra, simply shoot us an email and we'll refund you every penny on the spot. No questions asked. Which means when you click the button below this video to place your order today, you're basically just signing up to take the 8th Chakra Code on a test drive. And you've got an entire year to experience what life can be like once you've tapped directly into God's abundance. I've decided to shoulder all the responsibility here so that I can help as many people as possible while this website is still up, which probably won't be long. So click the button below this video and place your order with 0 risk to you, because you're backed by our 1-year 100% money-back guarantee. I made this so that it would be a no-brainer decision for you today. After all, what have you got to lose? Look, you are now at a crossroads, and you have a choice to make. You can ignore everything you've heard today and continue living life the way you have been, working harder and harder without ever seeing any results, while barely scraping by and never getting off that financial hamster wheel. And if that's the route you want to take, then that's on you. But you now know that it doesn't have to be this way. Plus, I think you and I both know that you landed on this page for a reason today. So knowing what you know now, why wouldn't you try the other path, the one filled with wealth and abundance? Because we both know that you're going to get the same results until you try something new. And I think that the fact that you're even here today is a clear sign that you are open to trying something new. And that something is the 8th Chakra Code that I told you about in this video. Now I know you've probably heard the saying, money can't buy happiness. But define happiness for me. Happiness is being comfortable, being content with your surroundings, and spending time with people who matter. So I feel like money can buy happiness, at least to an extent. After all, imagine what you could do if money wasn't your focus all the time. If you'd like to discover what this kind of life feels like, click the button under this video and try it for yourself, 100% risk-free for the next year. Don't ignore God's plan for your life. Still here, I see. I don't blame you. We covered a lot in today's video, and I know you might have some questions. So I'm going to go ahead and answer some of the most commonly asked questions that we get about the 8th Chakra Code. Question: I've tried other wealth attraction programs based on the law of attraction. They didn't work. What makes this one any different? Answer: this is not based on the law of attraction. This is a scientifically proven method that unblocks your soul star chakra. And in the end, science is just proving what some religious leaders have known for years. Question: how is my personal information protected? Answer: we hired some of the best encryption experts on the planet to protect your information. Most of them have day jobs at the FBI, and they use 256-bit encryption technologies using Secure Sockets Layer, SSL, which means your info is 100% secure, backed by the best technology available today. Question: how does the guarantee work? Answer: when you say yes to the 8th Chakra Code today, You are doing so 100% risk-free, because I'm giving you an entire year to decide if you're happy with your results or not. If at any time in the next 365 days you feel that your life has not improved drastically, simply email my support team and we'll refund 100% of your investment on the spot. Question: how soon should I expect results? Answer: well, every person is different, so the answer isn't the same for everybody. Some have experienced massive results as soon as the first day. Others have taken months to fully unlock their soul star chakra. I recommend using it every day for a full month before getting too worried about it.